Sunday morning, Gatwick Airport. We have a layover here of about 3 hours. It's almost 8 o'clock here, although our body clocks still say it's in the wee small hours of the morning. We're waiting for our flight to Athens.
Keep saying. 11 o'clock in the morning. Well, 6 o'clock in the evening here in Athens. We've arrived and we're waiting to go down to dinner. The view from our hotel room, which is only a couple of blocks from the Parthenon. Evidently no cable TV here. The funicular brings you to the top of the mountain where there is a gorgeous view of Athens spread out beneath. This is a huge city. 4 million people live here, out of 11 million in the whole country of Greece. Scars on this distant mountain are cuts in the marble that was quarried for the building of the Parthenon. a nice morning breakfast at the Parthenon Hotel this morning. We boarded the bus for the 20-minute ride to Piraeus. There goes the boat.
So many pictures. You couldn't buy them.
Down long halls and short halls to tiny little cabins. That's the whole thing right there. That's it. The port of Piraeus, the fourth largest in Europe, is the point of departure for all of the ferries that go to the other islands of Greece. Setting sail about 11:30 in the morning for an hour-and-a-half trip to Mikonos.
Να συγκεντρωθείτε στην
Finally heading back to Olympia from... We'll be going to the monastery of St. John the Divine. Still like a fortress at the top of the island. First stop is at the Holy Cave of the Apocalypse, where St. John had his visions in AD 95 or 97.
And the appearance of God in this room, it happened when he had the vision and he heard the voice of God. Here on this huge icon you can see depicted whatever I told you in words. It's the first time we have a vision of St. John depicted. You see?
The rest of our day is going to be spent in the city of Scala, which is the port. We've arrived on the island of Rhodes, a large island about 60 miles long and driven about halfway down the coast to Lindos, a short walk through town. Brings us to the trail to the Acropolis. Very quickly, we leave the town of Lindos below us.
Where's John? Send me a picture.
The beach of Lindos is a popular resort, and yachts from nations all over anchor in the small harbor here. Three different peoples have occupied this rock of Lindos. This full-size stern of a ship was carved by the Lindos people in the 2nd century BC. Above it, from the Crusades, a Byzantine watchtower, and then to the right, the castle built by the Knights of St. John. From the top of the Acropolis, there's a fascinating mixture visible. The ruins of the Roman temple to Diana, fortress walls of the Crusades, to the oldest part, the Temple of Athena, which dates back to the 6th century BC, now being reconstructed.
I was just about late. Well, I was at least going to restaurant. For sure, you know, because I was
On the seaside of the Acropolis, cliffs drop down sheerly to the ocean. A little tiny protected Bay of St. Paul. One of the gates of the old walled city of Rhodes. A triple series of dry moats, and then wall, and then another dry moat, and another wall, and another dry moat protect the city. Palace of Knossos. We're being serenaded by the locusts as we make our way toward the ruins. The original columns and beams in the Palace of Knossos were made of wood. These reconstructions are made of cement.
You see also the small garden was probably the river. So the small boats coming because those high jars. Bare breast carried by all the priestesses during the sacrifice, during the bullfighting, is 18 carat. Was changed. The worshipping of the bull. Athens, pictures.
You better not take a picture like that back to you. No, it's a passion.
Still about 20 miles away, off through the haze, is the island of Tyre, Santorini. The houses and buildings perched along the ridge from this distance make it look snow-capped. We'll dock and go ashore this afternoon. Arc of this island is actually the rim, the caldera, the ancient volcano that blew up about 1450 BC, signaling the end of the Minoan civilization. We're headed for this tiny little port town of Athens, where the buses will meet us to go up the hill.
Of the 17th or 16th century before Christ. I always say these two, 17th or 16th, because there are two different theories. The slabs over there were put on the floor, were covering the floors of the houses. They have been, all of them found on the upper floors of the houses, almost never on the ground floor. So, yet found. In this room was killed Spiros Marinatos, excavating Akrotiri.
You know everybody been doing this for hundreds of years.
Finally back on board. Our last night on the Olympic. Perched high on a hill above Athens, the Acropolis, continuously inhabited since at least 1600 BC. This small, unadorned hill just below the Acropolis is called Mars Hill, the first place where Paul preached Christianity to the people of Athens.
With plaques. These plaques are having some sculptural work on. Each side has different subjects as concerning the mythological world of ancient Greeks. Centaurs, west.
better known as the Temple of Dionysius. In the mountains of Parnassus, about 3 hours drive from Athens. We are visiting the site of Delphi. These ruins have been excavated continuously for over 100 years and are the best excavated in all of Greece. A modern village stood on this site, and in 1890 a French team bought the entire site and moved the whole village several kilometers away so that excavations could begin. The crowds here are nothing new. It's a popular place in ancient times too. Shops were set up to sell gifts to God Apollo. These steps here date from the 6th century BC.
The statues, the ones that have been highly appreciated, were of gold and ivory.
All along the road leading to the main site, these stones were bases for statues given as gifts to God Apollo.
He was a big
On each of the stones of this ark were statues of all of the kings of Argos. Statues disappeared a long time ago, taken by Nero and other emperors back to Rome. Each area or city-state had their own place to place the treasures given as gifts to God Apollo. Here's one that's been reconstructed. This one built by the city of Athens. The whole surface of this wall is covered with inscriptions, sort of a permanent record site for all sorts of transactions. This is the remains of the Temple of Apollo. The stadium here held as many as 5,000 people. And performances are still given today. The stadium, at the very top of the hill, against the base of the cliffs, held as many as 15,000 people. All of the stadiums in Greece were built to a standard length. In fact, the length of one stadium was used as a measure of distance. So the distance between cities might be quoted as being 50 stadia, which would be very close to each other, about 300 yards times 50. This Sphinx of Knossos originally sat at the top of a 9-meter tall column. The new town of Delphi is only a few kilometers away from the original site, now rebuilt here. It looks out over this valley where millions of olive trees grow, and the vista stretches from here all the way down to Corinth. Plaka, or the old part of the city, just below the Acropolis. A maze of small streets and shops where only pedestrians can travel. Saturdays and Sundays have a huge flea market here. It's also a center of nightlife on weekends, so we'll come back here later this evening. Right next next to the Plaka, and just below the cliffs of the Acropolis is the Agora, the old marketplace. Now an archaeological site. We're going to take a look around. The Stoa, sort of a combination of entrance to the marketplace and meeting place and shelter from the hot sun, was reconstructed in the early 1950s. The original dated back to about 150 BC. About the only thing different from the original construction is that in the original these columns were painted bright red and blue instead of being left natural stone. Part of it's new, but much of it is, like these walls, is still the original construction. This church was built in the 11th century to commemorate the speaking of St. Paul in the Agora. This street, the Pantheonaic Way, leads right past the church and led to the Acropolis above. On the opposite side of the marketplace, or Agora, is the Temple of Hephaestus, well preserved. Originally it was surrounded by forges for metalworking, since Hephaestus was the god of metalworking. This part of the carving on the breastplate of this statue, Romulus and Remus, identify this as a statue of Hadrian, a Roman emperor, about 130 years AD. From the Temple of Hephaestus you get a good view of the Parthenon, the old city below it, the Agora. This street up Philopapo Hill, like all of the early streets in Athens, is paved completely with marble. On the top of the hill there is a monument built to honor a Roman administrator of Athens, 3rd century AD. From here there's a wonderful view of Athens laid out at your feet. Mars Hill, where Paul first preached in this city. The Acropolis, and the Parthenon. The first stadium of the modern Olympics 100 years ago. And off in the other direction, the streets leading down to the port of Piraeus. Our last night in Athens, and we are leaving about 10 o'clock to go to the Plaka. The Plaka, the oldest part of Athens, is just below the Parthenon. Maybe 30 or 40 square blocks are included in this oldest part of the city. Cars are only allowed in the outer edges of the Plaka. The column above these ruins was built in the 4th century AD to celebrate the winning of a singing contest. Shops are everywhere. here on, the streets are too narrow for cars. The pedestrian traffic's heavy till 2 or 3 in the morning. Restaurants all designed to separate you from your money. Greeks and tourists from all over come here. The center of nightlife in Athens.